Picture this. A mother brings her teenage daughter into a parish, just desperately asking the priest for some help because her daughter is dealing with deep, heavy depression. Now, the priest is probably expecting to hear a story about, school bullies or social media drama, so he sits down with her. But instead, the young woman looks right at him and says, "Father, I'm actually doubting if God even exists. At school, they teach us that science makes God impossible. There's just no scientific proof." Honestly, this is such a real modern dilemma, and it's exactly how Father Joel Jamarsis Gaddis kicked off a truly fascinating homily. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to unpack his incredibly profound response to that exact question. So instead of getting defensive or shutting her down, Father Gaddis offered this brilliant counterargument. He told her that the absolute, undeniable evidence of God isn't just found by flipping through the Bible. The ultimate proof is actually found in the everyday miracles that we have become completely, utterly blind to. We spend so much time, waiting for burning bushes or parting seas that we totally miss the spectacular science happening literally right under our noses. Section 1. 3 everyday miracles. To really drive his point home, Father Gaddis challenges the congregation and, honestly, all of us, to stop hunting for the impossible and start recognizing the miraculous realities we're living with every single second. He breaks it down into 3 specific things. First, the absolute masterpiece that is the human body and brain. Second, the mind-boggling precision of the universe. And third, our body's automatic, silent ability to just heal itself. Let's take a deeper dive into each of these, starting with the one you're using right this very second just to watch this explainer. Think about your brain for a second. It is the most complex entity we know of. It is way more powerful and intricate than any smartphone, gadget, or massive supercomputer out there. And here is the logic Father Gaddis lays out. Humans created the computer, right? Well, if a computer, with all of its tiny microchips and circuitry absolutely required a creator, doesn't it stand to reason that the infinitely more complex human brain required a grand creator too? And then look at your heart and lungs. Sure, we have artificial hearts today, but scientists cannot invent a heart that naturally grows as a human ages. Plus, you don't have to consciously command your heart to beat. When you go to sleep tonight, you're not going to lay there worrying that you might forget to tell your lungs to take in air. They just do it. That automatic sustaining rhythm, that is a daily miracle. Moving out to the universe, he highlights this mind-boggling measurement, 1 inch. We are living on a rock perfectly suspended in space. It's often pointed out by scientists that if the Earth were positioned just a tiny fraction closer to the sun, we would literally burn to death. And if we were pushed just a tiny fraction farther away, we'd freeze. The gravity, the oxygen, the water, every single thing is perfectly measured to sustain human life. Father Gaddis uses a simple but super powerful analogy here. When you see a beautiful, perfectly ticking watch, you instantly know it has a watchmaker. You don't assume it assembled itself. When you walk into a stunning, well-built house, you know for a fact there was an architect. So when you look at a perfectly calibrated universe, it is entirely logical to conclude that it isn't some random accident. There is a grand design, and if there's a design, there is a grand architect. The third miracle brings us right back to our physical bodies, automatic healing. When you get a cut or a scrape, you don't have to call a staff meeting with your cells. You aren't consciously telling your white blood cells, "Hey guys, hurry up, get to the wound." You don't have to instruct your blood to start clotting. It just happens. Silently, without a single bit of input from your conscious mind, your immune system fights off threats, builds brand new skin, and heals you so you can just keep on living. He points out that there's this incredible life force operating inside of us that we don't even consciously control. Section 2. The danger of familiarity. So, if all this is true, why do we doubt? Why did that young woman feel so depressed and completely disconnected from God? Father Gaddis argues that our biggest obstacle in faith actually isn't intellectual doubt. The real issue is that we simply become way too used to God's blessings. To explain this, the homily points back to the biblical cities of Chorazin, Bethsaida, and Capernaum. Jesus spent a massive amount of time in these towns. I mean, he actually lived in Capernaum. The people there literally saw Jesus every single day. They saw him perform incredible, undeniable miracles right in front of their own eyes. But because they saw him all the time, they got used to him. They became completely numb. The extraordinary became ordinary, and they entirely lost their sense of awe. The whole point boils down to this one powerful phrase: familiarity breeds ingratitude. When you are just too close to a blessing, when you receive it every single day without fail, human nature tends to just take it for granted. The second a miracle becomes a daily routine, we stop saying thank you and we start saying, okay, what's next? And Father Goddess brings this ancient problem right into our modern living rooms with some spot-on comparisons. Think about how we used to sleep. A lot of us used to sleep incredibly peacefully on a simple woven mat on the floor, perfectly content just having our mothers fan us. But today, we have high-tech air conditioning, and yet we still toss, turn, and complain that the temperature isn't exactly right. Or, hey, think about the internet. Remember that awful screeching sound of dial-up internet? You had to sit there and wait patiently just to get a basic connection. Now, we're walking around with instant, high-speed Wi-Fi in our pockets, and if a video buffers for 3 seconds, we absolutely lose our minds. We are surrounded by modern miracles, but our familiarity has made us incredibly ungrateful. Here's another deeply relatable analogy he uses. Think about young people today. They have practically endless energy, but they'll groan and complain about having to walk from a far parking spot. They grumble about being tired. Meanwhile, you have the elderly, whose joints are failing them, sitting in the church praying desperately, saying, "Lord, just give me back my strong knees. If I just had my strong knees, I would happily walk anywhere." We don't notice the massive blessing of our health until it's taken away. Because we're so used to it, we forget to give thanks. Section 3. The true meaning of a miracle. The homily notes this terrible habit we have of treating God like a cosmic vending machine. We really only pray when we want specific, brand new outcomes, right? We pray to pass a board exam after we failed it. We pray to win the lottery to pay off our mounting debts. We pray for a disease to disappear. We are always asking for the next big miracle. But Father Gotus challenges us with a really piercing question. Before you demand a brand new miracle from God, have you even stopped to say thank you for the miracles He has already given you? Have you thanked Him for the fact that your heart is beating in your chest right now? For the sun actually rising this morning? For the family that loves you? Because if we are blind to the miracles we already possess, how on earth can we truly appreciate new ones? This is beautifully captured in a quote from St. Augustine that Father Gotus references. Many people ask a sign from God, but the greatest sign is a transformed life. The ultimate message here is that the greatest tragedy in life actually isn't living without miracles. The greatest tragedy is experiencing miracles every single day and never allowing them to change your heart. God gives us blessings not just to dazzle us, but to transform us, to make us kinder, more forgiving, and way more humble. Section 4. Your homework assignment. Father Goddess doesn't just want to give a lecture and walk away, he actually offers a practical assignment. He suggests that if you are feeling depressed, lost, or just completely overwhelmed, the antidote isn't necessarily sitting around waiting for some giant cinematic miracle to swoop in and solve everything. The real key? True gratitude. So he leaves his congregation and all of us with a specific task. Grab a piece of paper right now, and despite whatever problems you are facing, whatever heavy stress is on your plate, write down 3 miracles you are experiencing right now. Is it your health? Is it a loved one? Is it simply the fact that you woke up today? Well, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. If you woke up tomorrow with only the things you actually thanked God for today, what would you have left? Take a moment to reflect on that, count your everyday miracles, and let that gratitude completely transform